Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aaylor, and today we're talking about what do you do when a friend or family member has been arrested. And David, this might be a timely topic, perhaps after the holiday weekend.
It definitely is. Good
That's why you brought it up. Good morning. So this, obviously a lot of people call you just because of this. So let's say a friend has been arrested.
Right.
What are the steps after that?
Well, one thing's important to understand. A lot of times people don't realize the scheduling of a bond. Most charges, there are a few small charges that you can get on a magistrate municipal level where you can actually just pay a fine amount and get out.
Okay.
But more often than not, you're going to see charges that have to go in front of a magistrate judge, and that judge or the municipal judge will set the bond. So for instance, if someone was arrested, let's say at 11 o'clock at night, they're not going to be able to go in and just go in and pay a fine or wait a period of time. They're going to have to wait till they go in front of that judge. That judge then is going to look at their background. They're going to look at, well, do they live in the area? Are they from somewhere else? And then of course, how serious is the charge? Meaning, are they a threat to society, and whether they should let them out, and if so, what the bond amount should be. And so that's always the real frustrating part for family and loved ones in general, is just that they say, hey, I want to get her out, or I want to get him out, and you have to wait. And sometimes you may make it because of the paperwork at the morning bond at like 9 a.m. You may have to wait till 2 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So that's really the first thing you can do. A lot of times lawyers like myself and other attorneys in towns get calls and they say, get them out. Well, it's just not that easy because you have to go through the system. However, they are supposed to have that bond hearing within 24 hours. Okay,
that's what I want to say. It's within the next 24 hours they'll be presented for a judge. But should they call you right away?
It's very important to make sure that if you can, have a lawyer at your bond hearing. And the reason for that is really twofold. One, you're really not going to know what to say, what you should and shouldn't say. I go to bond court a lot, and you'll hear people just start to talk about their case. Well, they're making statements that again can be used against you. And then also, an attorney is going to be able to present sort of a clear picture of you. Say that you're from the community. If you have any family there that are present in the courtroom, friends. Also looking at what the charge is and give a little background on that, and just communicating with that judge, and the judge knowing that they've already gone to hire an attorney is a lot of times going to make them feel a little bit comfortable, because in the end what you're talking about is how much money somebody's going to have to spend.
And I imagine having you there, you can reduce that rate
That's the goal
compared to if you weren't there.
Right. Like I said, because a lot of things are not presented properly when you're on their own. After you do have the bond hearing, sometimes people want to pay the bond on their own, which you can, but oftentimes you're going to use a bondsman. What the bondsman comes in and does is they put up the money. Basically, they put a hold on to where the money is, and then you're going to pay them sometime a percentage, somewhere around 8 to 10%. Again, that's money that people think, well, what if my loved one shows up to court? Are they getting that money back? And their answer is no, they're not. That's the interest on the money that the bondsman's putting up. So, for instance, if somebody had a $100,000 bond, you would have to put up somewhere in the range of 8 to 10,000, give or take, and that money would not be coming back. However, you wouldn't have to put up the 100,000 to get them out. That's what the bondsman would do for you.
Gotcha. So let's say they're arrested, they go through before the judge, they're able to pay that bond or have the bondsman pay that bond. What is the next step after all of this? Well,
they're going to get out in usually 1 to 4 hours, depending on the time of the jail and what else is going on there as far as shift change. And then once they're out, they're going to have some initial appearances. But it's very important, if they don't have an attorney at the bond hearing, or they only have an attorney for the bond hearing, that they quickly go hire an attorney. If they can't hire one, they should go to the public defender's office and apply for a public defender, because the situation is going to start to move fast, and you want to have somebody on the case as quickly as possible, particularly looking back at maybe the investigation, what had occurred, starting to ask some questions, getting the police report. And when people put it off, it just really kind of starts you back a little bit, because the police have obviously been involved since day one. You want that defense involved as soon as possible.
Even small crimes, we said after the holiday weekend, someone charged with, say, drinking and driving, DUI, they could go into jail for that. How long will that whole process take for you to go through everything and get them out? Not saying that's a small crime, but not like a...
they're usually going to be out somewhere within 24 hours, depending on the weekend. Sometimes they could be there a little bit longer, depending on when the bond hearing is. And then ultimately that case can come up very quickly. If it's a DUI first, for instance, that could come up within 8 to 10 days. So it's very important you get an attorney involved ahead of time. Don't try to go in court and explain it yourself. It just really doesn't work that way.
Bottom line, are you available 24/7?
Absolutely, and I get texts and calls just about that much.
I'm sure.
I've already gotten some today. So.
I'm sure you do after the holiday weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
For being here. Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aaylor, and stay with us. We've got much more coming up on Low Country Live.